Breaking news at 6, firefighters battling a brush fire in Lehigh Acres. It's close to roads and homes. Lotus Avenue South was just closed at Grant Boulevard.
Families are even spraying down their roofs with garden hoses to protect them from flames. NBC2's Ben Henry is there live to give us a closer look. Ben?
Well, I was just told by a firefighter this fire is believed to be under control, but because of this wind and dry conditions, they're not taking any chances. I'll get out of the way and show you some of the action. I've seen crews from Lehigh Acres Fire Rescue, also from the Florida Forest Service. That same firefighters from Lehigh Acres said he believes around 2 acres have burned. I also overheard a firefighter tell a sheriff's deputy to close part of the neighborhood down south of Grant Boulevard. Like Peter said, as we were trying to get closer to the action, we did see families watering their lawns and even their roofs, again, with these dry conditions, and it is very windy out right now. Fire crews and families not taking any chances. Count on NBC2 to get you some more information on this fire. Live in Lehigh Acres, Ben Henry, NBC2.
Tonight, we know a Collier County teacher has been reassigned, not fired, after a controversial Facebook post that many called a racist rant.
The district launched an internal investigation when thousands of people called for the Parkside elementary teacher to resign. Here's what she wrote on Facebook, quote, "So glad to hear about massive deportations. Let's make America great again." New at 6, NBC2's Devin Turk discovered she will now be working at multiple schools.
Yeah, well, she wrote that post while here in her classroom during her instructional planning time. More than 3,000 people signed a petition calling for her job. The district decided to give her a second chance. Disappointed families at Parkside Elementary School.
Being a teacher again, that's like, I don't know, it's not right.
After hearing former computer lab teacher Veronica Fleming will keep her job with the Collier County School District after writing this controversial Facebook post during February's A Day Without Immigrants. That's where many skipped work or school in support of immigrants. Part of her post said, "The funny thing about immigrants staying home is the rest of us who have to pay for them are here at work like we've always been. Looks like less mouths to feed today."
It's horrible.
Fleming, who's been employed with the district since 2011, was reassigned to administrative duties at district headquarters during the internal investigation. The district says her words caused a serious disruption within the community and violated their code of ethics.
It affected a lot of parents and a lot of students. Most of the kids here are Hispanic.
Fleming had to review district policies, take diversity awareness, ethics, and communications classes, and write a reflection letter.
No, I don't think that's enough because, like I said, it's just affected a lot of people.
In the letter, Fleming says she didn't mean to upset anyone, writing, "It's important to me that parents understand how much I care for all students' education and well-being."
If she should have cared, she wouldn't have not said that.
What if she does it again? You know what I mean?
Now, Fleming's been transferred to Mike Davis Elementary School. She's listed as a pool teacher. The district tells me that means that she's kind of like a substitute teacher because she can work at other schools in the district, but she remains a full-time employee. Reporting live in East Naples, Devin Turk, NBC2.
NBC2 is on the scene of breaking news in Golden Gate City. A dive team just pulled a body out of that canal. The initial call was for a boater who had gone missing. We have a reporter on scene gathering new information. Witnesses told her another person was taken safely off the boat.
A caretaker at a Lehigh Acres group home is accused of beating a disabled adult patient with a broom. Angela Lee is now facing charges for the attack on 11th Street Southwest. Detectives say the victim has several scratches and bruises and a red mark in the shape of a broomstick across her back.
But these are adults. They're supposed to be cared for by other adults. That's just tragic.
Lee and her mother, who is also a caregiver at the home, denied it and said the victim was having an episode and Lee had to restrain her. Deputies found a bent broom at the home that was taken as evidence. For the first time, we're hearing what went on inside a hearing for a former Punta Gorda police officer fighting to get his job back.
Do you think Officer Cole did anything wrong?
Yeah.
What?
He killed a 73-year-old lady during a training exercise because he didn't read the box of ammo that he was using for the exercise.
That was a lieutenant who saw Lee Cole shoot and kill Mary Knowlton accidentally during a police demonstration last August. Cole was fired and is now charged with manslaughter. An attorney for Police Chief Tom Lewis was also in court today trying to get a negligence charge against him dropped. His case is set to go to trial in June. The city of Cape Coral is cracking down on water violations, paying utility workers overtime to track down people who are watering when they're not supposed to.
New at 6, we sent Jesse Pagan with the Cape Coral News team to find out if the extra money is worth it.
Watering the lawn is now a gamble in Cape Coral.
We're now down to 1 day a week instead of 2.
And not sticking to the city's schedule can dry out your bank account, especially if a new task force catches you. 60 utilities employees are now working overtime, searching for water violations at night.
It's a concern when you put a brand new yard in, spend all that money, and then you can only water 1 day a week.
When the utility employees find people watering illegally, they'll pass that info along to code enforcement, who will then issue a citation. Not everyone is a fan.
I really don't see the need for it.
Tom Ramey's lawn is full of brown spots. He sees the need to save water, but thinks the 60 hunters are overkill.
I'm happy for them, but I think the money could be spent solving the problem instead of putting 60 extra people on.
But others say the need to save water trumps anything else.
I wouldn't want my home to catch on fire, so I realize that we're cutting back on the water, and if I have to lose my lawn to save somebody's home, I have to be okay with that.
The money to pay these workers will come from the city's water and sewer fund. In Cape Coral, Jesse Pagan, NBC2.
A Hendry County monkey farm is now facing a federal lawsuit accused of firing a whistleblower in line to get taxpayer money. A former vet at the Hammond Ranch says the Mannheimer Foundation lied about the staff members being licensed in order to get federal grants and told her to fire a pregnant worker to avoid paying family leave. She says she was then fired after she contacted the state.
The city of Cape Coral wants to change the speed limit on this road nicknamed the Coralwood Dragway. Cars often use Southeast 17th Place as a shortcut off the Midpoint Bridge to avoid traffic on Del Prado. The city is looking to cut the speed limit from 30 to 25, but neighbors aren't sure that's going to do it.
I think that it's a step in the right direction to reduce the speed, but in all seriousness, what we really need to do is divert the traffic to commercial areas.
Some neighbors have suggested adding a stop sign or speed bumps. Today, we clock drivers going as fast as 45 miles per hour.
I sat down with Jim Nathan, the CEO of Lee Health, today, one day after he made the surprise announcement he would step aside this June.
We worked very, very hard to have a great team of people that are seasoned and well positioned to do this. And we are not bailing out. We're turning over to a great group of people that have the same love, the same passion, the same desire and energy to make great things happen on behalf of healthcare in this community.
5 other key executives in Lee Health are also retiring in the next 3 months. The hospital board will hear from the public about his successor. Nathan is recommending the chief operating officer, Dr. Larry Antonucci, take the reins.
New at 6, scientists warn the Zika threat could be worse this year. They say the dry weather has mosquitoes laying eggs everywhere they can find water. That could mean more mosquitoes spread out. But that's not all. As NBC2's Levi Ismail found out, some fear there won't be enough money to fight the virus.
The fight is far from over. Local scientists telling me that the Zika virus is alive and well in states just like Florida and could be sitting dormant in canals just like this. The most dangerous thing to do is to forget that.
Oh, I got this. Oh, never mind. It's hard.
Yeah, that was
Wait, break
hard.
this, break this, break this.
In this sport of patience,
It's almost like a tug of war.
Lewis McNeil doesn't like to lose.
You never know what it's going to be, how big it's going to be, so it make it interesting to really fish, you know?
Last year, only one thing stood in his way of more days just like this: Zika.
It kind of did stop me from going out, stop me from being out certain times of the day, yeah.
Every day since Florida's first Zika case, these two take no chances.
Yeah, it scared me, had me terrified.
Many hoped dry weather would keep mosquitoes at bay, but not the case.
It gives some of our mosquitoes, like the salt marsh mosquitoes and then some of our freshwater flood mosquitoes, more area to lay eggs.
Zika is an afterthought for many. Not Sabine Mueller of My Test Diagnostic.
Zika is around and still will be around for a long time.
Not since last year has a mosquito tested positive for Zika in Florida.
That doesn't mean Zika is not traveling to and from Florida back and forth.
With federal Zika funding dangerously close to drying up, affordable tests are in even greater demand.
The peace of mind is pretty much priceless.
Tests can be spendy and run upwards of $1,200, so many go untested. But for some, you can't put a price on wanting to start a family of your own someday.
We want to have people in a state of mind where there's no panic and they're well educated about it.
Another reason the Zika threat could be greater this year is because scientists determined that the Zika virus can actually live in mosquito eggs, which might not hatch for months, if not years. Reporting in Lee County, Levi Ismail, NBC2.
So far this year, the state has tested nearly 90,000 mosquitoes for Zika. None have tested positive for the virus. But the state says Florida communities need to be ready to fight Zika as rainy season begins. Last year, the outbreak in Miami was the first in the country.
A year after we exposed a massive and dangerous tire pile in Lehigh Acres, the mess is now gone. But as the NBC2 investigators uncovered, you helped pay for the cleanup.
Well, it may have been a pretty day if you were in your air-conditioned space and looking outside. That's the view. Time-lapse in Golden Gate area, in the Gateway area. It was a very hot afternoon, and I'm going to tell you about record temperatures for the coming weekend as well when I come back.
We have an update now on that breaking news we're following. A brush fire in Lehigh Acres. Firefighters telling us they do have it under control, but you can see they're still on scene. The brush truck going back in looking for hot spots. Grant Boulevard is closed at Lotus Avenue. Again, this is a live look. Some people are on their roofs actually watering their rooftops down with hoses to fight off the flames. No buildings have been lost.
The hottest day of the year, a little breezy, but not like last week when these fires really started spreading quickly.
Because the humidity is up, and you can really feel that outside. Let's get right to our weather forecast. I've got a lot to tell you about for the weekend ahead. First of all, fire danger is elevated, and this is a new map forecasting high fire danger now throughout southwest Florida. You can see Collier is now in the high range, and Charlotte and DeSoto counties in the very high range. So the fire danger for the whole weekend is still going to be elevated. Yes, it does help to have the humidity come up, but the wind is still going to be there, and the ground, of course, as you know, the fuel is very dry, despite rain we had a couple of days ago. Look at these numbers: 93 in Naples, 96 in Fort Myers, 96 in Punta Gorda, all record high temperatures for today here in our part of the state. Live Doppler radar shows you there's no rain relief here tonight. We had some showers earlier this evening, a couple of hours ago around Naples and North Naples, a few around Charlotte Harbor. There might even be a little isolated downpour around Burnstorm Marina, maybe a little north there. Otherwise, that's it. I don't anticipate significant rain tonight, although it's still possible that in the next 2 or 3 hours, a couple of isolated showers could pop up. They won't last too long. 84 in Marco, 82 in Naples, 83 in Inglewood, and 83 in Cape Coral, with humidity running above 70%. Guess what? It still feels like it's about 93 to 95 degrees outside. Just a sample here shows you these feels like temperatures. Earlier this afternoon, the feels like weather went up to about 103. So it was indeed a very hot day, especially for the end of April. As you can see, tomorrow morning is going to be very mild as well. We don't have too much relief at all. Humid and mild, and the daytime temperatures tomorrow go right back up to the mid-90s. Now, we should be on average at 87 degrees this time of year. These numbers aren't even close. As you can see, I've got a 95 in Fort Myers for tomorrow. The Cape, you folks, will be about 93 to 94 degrees. Inland communities, 95 to 96. All of these numbers will be within shouting distance, if not at record levels for tomorrow. So another pretty hot day. Hope your air conditioner is working well. Forecast for the morning says it's quiet. It will be mostly clear to partly cloudy. Southeast winds, see the white lines here? Those are the wind arrows. And by the afternoon, we've got a little bit of a sea breeze. See that right there? but it'll be pinned to the coast and it won't have a whole lot of rain with it. It's possible we could see a couple of little showers tomorrow as well, but it would be mostly on the sea breeze boundary. And let me show you on Saturday into Sunday, it's just more of the same. Now next week, we've got this front that will be moving toward us on Monday and Tuesday. See the time? It's not a big deal, but that could bring us a few showers next week. So here goes, number board, southeast winds, 2 to 3 foot seas. Boaters use some caution over the weekend. It'll be a bit breezy, and the wind will continue into next week as well. That's why you've got the blowing palm trees there. Monday and Tuesday, keep your fingers crossed. We could see some afternoon showers. Get ready, though, for a very hot weekend.
Giant pile of water sitting in tires.
Nearly 250,000 old, dirty tires piling up behind a business.
All they do is keep piling in,
racking up thousands of dollars in fines. Now the NBC2 investigators uncover you're paying for the cleanup.
NBC2 first exposed the problem at West Coast Tire Recycling off Leonard Boulevard and Lee Street in Lehigh Acres a year ago. The business was being paid to shred old tires, but instead was taking the money and letting thousands of them pile up.
The site was declared a public health hazard, attracting mosquitoes just as the Zika threat hit, and it fueled worry that any spark, would start a toxic fire. NBC2 investigator Trent Kelly uncovered why a year later you had to foot the bill to clean up this mess.
It's all about time. The Florida Department of Environmental Protection decided it was taking too long for West Coast Tire Recycling to get rid of its mess. So they hired an outside contractor to help using a pool of taxpayer money.
I look outside and I couldn't see anything but tires. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
For months, this was the view from Michael Ferrell's Lehigh Acres workspace.
I don't like looking around at all this garbage. And I got windows right on the side. I stare out the window all day.
Ferrell, a stonemason at Tropica Designs on Leonard Boulevard, says what started out as a small pile of old tires gradually grew into a massive mountain.
It was so high you couldn't see the telephone pole on the other side.
The Florida Department of Environmental Protection estimates close to 250,000 tires lined the property belonging to West Coast Tire Recycling.
Giant pile of water sitting in tires. It rained a lot. And they did nothing. All they do is keep piling in.
An eyesore that morphed into a health hazard.
It was so much mosquitoes there, it was crazy. They were chewing us alive for at least six months at least.
But that was then, and this is now. 250,000 tires reduced to about 1,000. A year ago, this lot was so full, tires were actually spilling over this fence. Today, you can see most of those tires have been cleared away. What's also cleared away? Any sign of a working business. West Coast had an agreement with the DEP to clear away 20,000 tires every month. But the state agency brought in an independent contractor to speed up that process at a price tag of $365,000. Money which is being footed by taxpayers until West Coast Tire pays up.
It is very concerning because we anticipate somebody who's picking up our tires, disposing of them properly, not gathering them up, and then the state of Florida having to come in behind them and clean a mess up.
Auto expert Terry Winter says the state already collects a $1 fee for every new tire sold in Florida. That money goes into a special statewide fund, the same fund now being used to pay for the tire piles cleanup.
When the state of Florida has to come in and pay to have an area cleaned up, somewhere along the line, all consumers, whether you're buying tires or not, are paying for that.
The owners of West Coast Tire Recycling refused to return any of my calls. I finally tracked one of them down at another tire service center in North Fort Myers. When I asked her how she plans to pay that $365,000 back, she would only say they haven't seen a bill yet. For the NBC2 investigators, I'm Trent Kelly.
Call, email, or download the NBC2 News app and submit your tip now.
We certainly learned a lot from this past series. You've got a
you got to come out and win at least one of those first 2 games to stay in the series.
You can bet the Everblades will come out with a sense of purpose tonight. They got away with dropping the first 2 games at home against Orlando. They know they will not be able to do that against South Carolina in the division finals. The puck drops at 7:30, and make no mistake, these teams do not like each other.
We know what they're going to bring. They know what we're going to bring, and it's just, it's going to come down to whoever's willing to pay the price.
We want to have a better start, obviously, and set the tone physically and get off to a good start.
The Barron Collier girls lacrosse team did something last week few ever have. Beat 10-time state champion Vero Beach. The Cougars' reward, facing powerhouse St. Thomas Aquinas in the state semis. Let's go across the state to Jupiter, where Aquinas jumps out to a 4-0 lead. But BC will not go quietly. Joe Imbriani gets the Cougars on the board. They are within 1 at the half. Second half, Caroline Peterson scores, and we are now tied at 7. But the Raiders would not be denied. A great season for Barron Collier comes to an end, 12-9.
Buzz your feet, finish!
While we're talking Barron Collier, spring practice continues for the Cougars. Mark Jackson has 16 starters back, including a 1,000-yard rusher. He expects to be big and physical up front, which should help quarterback Jacob Kuhlman. The rising senior returns after starting the last 3 games of last season. Right now, Jackson just wants to lay the foundation for the fall.
I think you put our base stuff in, but I think we're just going to set the tempo for how we're going to practice and how we're going to play this year. I mean, so little by little, 1% better every day. That's our goal, and hopefully we get to where we want to be.
The NFL Draft continues tonight, rounds 2 and 3 starting at 7 o'clock. We are going to see some great in-state talent come off the board. FSU's Dalvin Cook could have been a first-rounder. Same for Florida cornerback Quincy Wilson. Fellow Gators Alex Anzalone, Marcus May, and Jalen Tabor are also among those still on the board. Talk about a tale of 2 seasons. The FGCU baseball team started out 24-3, but is just 4-13 since. The Eagles are trying to end their 6-game losing streak tonight. They are just underway in Newark against NJIT. The 4th-ranked FSW softball squad begins state tournament play today. The Bucks blow out Tallahassee Community College in their first game. That keeps them in the winner's bracket to face Daytona State, and FSW leads the Falcons 11-2 in the 5th inning. A final note, former Dunbar star Carrie Jewett-Giles is coming home. She has signed with the FGCU women's basketball team. She will have to sit out the upcoming season after transferring from Southern Miss. And that's sports.
All new tonight at 11.
A mother pulled a gun on her son's barber. Why'd she do it? Tonight at 11.
Record high temperatures today are probably going to get a repeat performance tomorrow, folks. I'm going with a high of 94. Ooh. It could actually be 95, 96 in several places as well on Saturday. So be careful. Use all those midsummer, tips that we give about taking care of yourself outside because it's hot.
Drink lots of water.
Lots of water, just like this.
That's my water bottle. Stay hydrated. Good night.